Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Ikebana for Beginners. My name is Nicole, and our chat moderator today is Nikki, and she'll be there to field and monitor the chat box today. So if there are any questions, please type them in the chat. And if Nikki's able to respond to them in the moment, she will. But if not, then we will have moments throughout the program where we stop and try to answer those questions together. Before we begin, we need to just establish some of the ground rules for the program. Everybody will be muted during this class, and everybody's video should also be blocked. The only screen that you should see should be my screen and the PowerPoint as we go through the program. At the top of your screen, you can find an exit full screen option. If you need to get to other things on your computer, you are welcome to ask questions or request that the instructor repeat information at any point during today's program. You should see an icon at the bottom of your screen that says chat. Click on that to open the chat window. Chat is set to be seen only by library staff. If you prefer, you may also use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen. And please note that any inappropriate questions or comments will cause your immediate removal from today's class. For all questions, we may answer you directly in the chat or Q&A box, hold the question until a break or the end of the class, or ask the question at the time if it is pressing. We will be using the instructor's screen to demonstrate and may share additional resources in the chat as well. A recording of today's program will be available in a few days, so if you would like to watch today's program and then practice with the recording later, that is an option. And with all of our ground rules out of the way, we can get started. Okay, welcome to Ikebana for Beginners. This program is geared towards adults who are interested in learning about the history and culture of Ikebana. Today, we will introduce what Ikebana is. We will talk about the history of Ikebana, the cultural elements and meaning behind the arrangements. We will talk about techniques and designs of Ikebana. We will also show some of the tools that are used to prepare the arrangements. And at the very end, we will play a short video that is a staff-led demonstration of how they prepared their Ikebana arrangement. So, what is Ikebana? It is the art of flower arranging that originates in ancient Japan. It is a practiced art where flowers and other natural elements are placed in such a way as to embody harmony, peace, and beauty. Ikebana is considered to be one of the top three major forms of cultural arts, along with the tea ceremony and calligraphy. Ikebana is considered important in Japanese society for several reasons. The practice of Ikebana is thought to promote mindfulness and spiritual awareness by demanding discipline and concentration. It is believed that practicing Ikebana makes a person more patient and open-minded towards the differences in nature and life. In this way, Ikebana can be seen as a spiritual practice or a way to connect with the natural world and achieve a state of inner peace and tranquility. In traditional Japanese culture, the appreciation of nature is deeply ingrained and is considered a way of life. Ikebana is where the arrangement of natural elements is done with utmost care and respect. Ikebana is seen as an expression of the connection between humans and the natural world, where every flower, stem, and leaf are carefully chosen to create a harmony between the arrangement and its surroundings. The appreciation for nature goes beyond admiring the beauty of flowers. It encompasses a deep respect for the natural world, including the recognition of the transience of all things the cycle of life and death, and the changing seasons. So, the history of Ikebana. It is believed that it came to Japan along with Buddhism from China between the 6th and 8th centuries through the Silk Road. With the introduction of Buddhism, in Japan, the Buddhist priests would offer flowers to Buddha, signifying a deep spiritual connection with nature. Over time, the flower arrangements offered to Buddha, Ikebana, became more sophisticated with rules established for proper placement of branches and flowers. Initially, only Buddhist priests were adept at Ikebana, but as its popularity grew, it reached to even noblemen and samurai. By the 16th century, Senkei Ikenobo founded the Ikenobo school, setting the foundation for the Rikka style, the oldest style of Ikebana. Rikka uses 7 main branches symbolizing natural elements like mountain peaks, hills, waterfalls, and valleys, with the 2 remaining branches representing positive and negative elements. Here we have a couple of pictures that document the historical progression of Ikebana. Photo number 1 is an old printed document from the early Edo period believed to contain Ikebana teachings of the Muromachi period. A drawing of flowers arranged as a part of a Mitsugusoku, a set of 3 ceremonial objects, is included. In photo number 2, we have the Ikenobo Sunukuden, and this is the version that was handed down in 1537. It describes the philosophy and techniques of Ikebana. In photo number 3, we have what is called the Kaio Irai no Kadensho, and this is believed to be the oldest extant manuscript of Ikebana teachings handed down in Ikenobo. It dates from 1486 to 1499, and these dates are recorded at the end of the document. Do we have any questions about the history of Ikebana at this point? We have a little bit more history to go, but just wanted to check in.
Currently, we don't have any questions in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Cultural elements and meanings. So the oldest form of Ikebana derived from the Buddhist tradition. Buddhist monks refined the art of arranging flowers to embody paradise and harmony among different plants. Rikka uses 9 or 7 stem positions to guide flower placements. It also uses pine or other tree branches to complement the flowers. So you can see at the top, we have number 1, which is the Shen, or otherwise called the spiritual mountain. It is the highest point of the composition, and it is a representation of heaven. Position number 2, we have the Uke. The summit one can reach is another way that it's called. Point number 3, we have the Hike or Tai, which is called achieving balance. This position helps harmonize other flowers and represents earth. Point number 4, we have Shoshin. This is the center of the arrangement, and this is called the waterfall. Point number 5 to the right, we have the Soe, the second tallest branch, and this complements the Shen. It is a branch that represents man. Point number 6, towards the bottom, we have Nagashi, which is called the stream. This branch reinforces the representation of nature. Point number 7, we have the Mikoshi, and this is called the mist, dividing the sacred from the common. This position defines the tension between heaven and earth. Point number 8, right in the middle, we have the dough, which is the body of the arrangement, and the dough uses greenery to disguise the water containers or other technical components of the arrangement. And the last part of this composition is 9, the Maeoki, and this is the front body. It usually adds an attractive aesthetic element to complement the greenery. Here are a couple of images that represent the Rikka style of Ikebana, and these are from the years 1673 through 1698. You can see in image number 3 that it is unique compared to the other ones because it is one large Ikebana arrangement, whereas the other ones have two Ikebana arrangements per page. Here are some more examples, but these are modern representations of Ikebana, and these were mostly made around the 2010s. We can still see the elements from the traditional Ikebana, and in image number 4, you can see that there are 9 numbers labeled in the image, and this is meant to show you that they are part of the traditional Rikka style. Okay, checking in. Do we have any other questions about the placements?
The chat is still clear.
Okay, great. We have some more history coming up. And
Oh,
next we're going to
I'm
be
sorry,
talking.
Nicole.
Oh, yeah,
Could
go
you go
ahead.
back one more time? We had a question about what is number 12 and number 3, I think from the prior slide. Oop, or maybe the slide before. Hmm. Okay. Let me see
Was
if
it
I
maybe
can.
1, 2, and 3?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, they just added a comma. 1, 2, and 3.
was it from this slide or this slide?
That's okay. Let's see if we can
I
get
think it
an
might be this
answer.
one.
Yes, this slide they said.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure. From the looks of it, it looks like number 1 might also be the Ricca style. Um, we'll get into this later on, but later on, or towards the history as Ikebana evolved, the um, the arrangements became more simplified. So it could be that images 1, 2, and 3 are the simplified versions of Ikebana um, that evolved to what it is today. I'm not completely sure, but that is a great question. From the looks of it, though, I would say there's so much going on in number 1 that it is probably um, Ricca style as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, the Edo period. There was a shift during this time of Ikebana, and this began with the ascendancy of the samurai class from the 14th century. And this is when feudal lords gained stature and supremacy, and they wished to display their wealth and power. The first tokonoma, or alcoves, were built in their homes and palaces, and they were meant to put, we speculate, to display suits of armor, as you can see in image number 2. Um, but once the unification of the nation was established and peaceful times arrived, art objects, including flower arrangements, began to be displayed. And during this time period, the Edo period, Japan enjoyed internal peace and steady economic growth. Ikebana, once the exclusive province of Buddhist monks and members of the court and aristocracy, came to be practiced more widely by samurai, wealthy merchants, and others, including women. During the Edo period, which was 1602 through 1868, the Rikka-style Ikebana, which originated in the 16th century, became increasingly elaborate. It became common for Ikebana masters to write treatises on the principles of creating a truly beautiful Rikka arrangement. Rikka was considered a, quote, miniature landscape, end quote, where tall branches represented mountain peaks and horizontal branches symbolized rivers. Creating an exquisite Rika arrangement required immense skill and artistry. And towards the late Edo period, a simpler style of flower arrangement emerged called shoka. Unlike Rika, which often comprised of 7 or 9 components and was very intricate, shoka arrangements typically consisted of just 3 elements. The serenely balanced shoka arrangements are triangular based on 3 main lines. Shin, the central truth branch, soe, supporting branches, and hike, or tai, branches placed near the base to balance the structure. This symbolize heaven, man, and earth. Thus, the arrangement is meant to represent the whole universe. This new style made Ikebana more accessible than ever before. And here are some examples of the shoka style. And you can see that they are very different compared to the Rika style that we were observing earlier. They're much less complicated, they're much less intricate, um, and they are more simple in their display. Not as easy, maybe, to, I would say they're probably both equally as difficult to put together, but the accessibility just made it much easier for people to be able to participate in since there was not so many requirements. All right, next we have the Meiji period. This occurred after the Edo period, and it was known to be Japan's isolation period. And this was when Japan began to prosper while focusing on international relations. Innovation came from abroad in the form of technological advancement and economic opportunity. As citizens gained money, they gained political influence. These merchant princesses' influence on society also increased. And with the rise of national tide of civilization and enlightenment in this early Meiji era, tendency to make light of the traditional culture prevailed among the people. Affected by this tendency, popularity of Ikebana as a whole declined in this era. However, with the government's help, they started to require Ikebana lessons into girls' education to make, quote, good wives and wise mothers, end quote. This helped Ikebana not die out in the Meiji period. And here you can see some images of the women practicing their Ikebana arrangements. All right. Do we have any other questions about the history? From here on, we'll be talking more about modern day Ikebana arrangements.
I was giving it a second, but it looks like for now the chat is still clear.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So what's next? In 1945, after the devastation of World War II, Japan again began the task of catching up with the West. The feeling was much the same as in the period of the Meiji Restoration, and freestyle Ikebana techniques became more and more recognized. A new mission was spread around Ikebana, which was called, quote, take Ikebana out of the tokonoma, end quote, which they succeeded in doing. So they were wanting to get Ikebana out of the home and into the public. Ideas were brilliant, exciting, and completely novel as new materials such as tropical plants, whole tree trunks, as well as inorganic material like plastic and metals were used. Ikebana began to appear in public spaces such as exhibition halls, in department stores, and lobbies of hotels. In the first image, you can see an Ikebana piece in the Keio Plaza Hotel in Shinjuku, Tokyo. In winter, this was displayed from 2019 to 2020. And the second photo is also in a hotel in Tokyo. And in image number 3, this is showing Ellen Gordon Allen Post-World War II. She was living in Japan with her husband during his military service. During her time there, she learned about Ikebana and attended school to become an instructor. She later founded International Ikebana upon returning to America. And you can see her with her Ikebana and photograph number 3. And here we have a couple more examples of modern Ikebana, and these are in less traditional settings and in more public settings. Number 1, we have a picture of this technological Ikebana arrangement. It was created by an art company which called Naked, and they are known for creating digital art spaces with skillfully utilizing projection mapping and music. This Ikebana arrangement was held in Nihonbashi Mitsui Hall in Tokyo from 2016 to 2020. And it is to be the first known piece that brings Ikebana and technology together. Photo number 2 is at a shopping mall in Tokyo called Ginza Place. This Ikebana arrangement is called New Year 2018 Flower, and it was created to celebrate the 2018 New Year. Image number 3 is an Ikebana arrangement called Four Gods, creating new ideas from the past. And this is meant to express the directions governed by the four gods of blue dragon, red bird, white tiger, and black tortoise through the movement of bamboo and the momentum of plants. This was presented in Kyoto Station Building, East Plaza. And yes, it says that there was a Japanese picture scroll of light incorporated as well along the walls. And photo number 4 was a campaign held at the department stores of the Mitsukoshi Isetan Group in 2017. The model is wearing a costume of flowers designed by fashion designer Yoshikazu Yamagata, and it is one big flower. The concept was, quote, dressing becomes flowers, flowers become human, end quote. The work represents the awakening of the power of spring. The concept is apparent with both the costume and the ikebana. Okay, we're about to get into some tools or techniques, and I just want to check in one more time. I feel like we might have more questions then, but does anybody have any questions about modern day ikebana?
The chat remains clear.
Okay, so we have tools, and the next slide will be about techniques and styles of how to arrange ikebana. But in order to do that, we need the proper materials to get our presentation in order. The first tool that we will talk about is the kazai, and these are the flowers, plants, branches, and other natural elements that are chosen for their seasonability and compatibility for the arrangement. The next tool that we need is the kaki, which is the vase. The choice of vase depends on the space in which the piece will be displayed, as well as the kazai being used. And you can see here that we have 3 different vase options. And you can see, if you noticed in some of the previous pictures, the vases all kind of varied because how they were meant to display was dependent on the person. So just if you do want to attempt this, go with your gut and do what feels right to you. The next tool that you need will be the hanakiri, the scissors. These are specialty scissors that are designed to cut hard branches and stems with great precision. So these are more for cutting through stems rather than your traditional paper scissors. And the last piece that you'll need is the Kinzen, which is the base, and it's the pad at the top of the PowerPoint slide with the pins sticking out. And these pins allow stems to be placed at any angle. And this item is reusable if you take care of it. So you'll stick the bottoms of the flower stems into the pins to hold them in place. Okay, next we have different techniques for Ikebana. The first technique is to use heat to bend branches. There are many types of evergreen trees that have heavy sap, and this sap becomes soft when it's heated and hard again when it's cooled. So you'll want to place the part of the branch you wish to bend over a candle flame to heat up the branch. And while it's heating up, you'll gently bend it to the desired angle and then immediately plunge the heated section into cold water. And you'll want to keep it underwater until it's completely cool. Always remember to hide any burn marks from the viewer's sight when you are completing your arrangement. The next technique is to use wire support. So some of the flowers, if there's a flower that you'd like to use that is hollow stemmed, these are difficult to push through those pins. So you can use wire to keep them up straight. And you'll push the wire gently up from the bottom of the stem. This is also called the stem and stem technique, which involves inserting a thinner stem into a thicker stem, and this lets you create more complex angles and compositions. Another technique is to cut flower stems underwater. When you do that, it allows water um, to, it allows the flower to receive the water, which makes the flower last longer. If you cut it in the air, not in the water, um, it doesn't allow for water to transfer into the stem as easy. And if you are cutting under the water, you'll want to keep the stem submerged for at least 30 minutes. So that way it absorbs as much water as it can. Next technique we have is to cut the stem at an angle. This helps create an easier way to insert and stabilize the stem onto that consen, which is the base with the pin sticking up. And let's see, we have a couple more techniques here. So crushing stems is a counterintuitive way to prolong the life of your flowers by dramatically increasing the surface area to absorb water. This technique can also assist in creating compositions with numerous types of flowers, such as Ricca arrangements. And lastly, stem bending is a way to create a shape that deviates from the lines of the stems you have. Many flowers have strong but bendable stems that you can turn into the shape that you want. You can also make a small cut into the branch to increase the bendability of a particular branch. And this technique does not require wire to bend the stem. Okay, do we have any questions about technique or tools?
We do have a couple of questions. I think going back to the tools slide, there was a question about the vase. I believe it was referred to as kaki. And the question was, what is the maximum separation in the vase?
Um, I guess can we clarify the question a little bit?
Yeah, let me see if we can get some clarification on that. I will move on to a different question about do we know how long a typical arrangement lasts? Like how long does it remain fresh? And then secondary to that, is it always fresh flowers that Ikebana is made with, or are they ever dried first?
From my knowledge, I believe that you'll want to use fresh flowers or as fresh as possible. Um, I don't believe, or at least not in my research, I didn't see anything about using dried flowers. You'll want to use fresh flowers, and I think they last for as long as the flower is meant to last.
Hmm.
Different flowers have different longevities, so depending on the water level also is important. Does your arrangement have enough water to um, sustain the flowers, and what type of flowers are you using for your arrangement will depend on the longevity.
Hmm. That makes sense. I did ask for some clarification. Okay, so about the vase, they're talking more about the angles between the flowers. Do you have more
I see.
information about the angles between the flowers?
Yes. So, um, like with the spacing between, is that
I
I would
believe so,
I
yes.
okay. I think when you place them, I think from my research, you will want to do it at like a 45-degree angle. Um,
Yeah.
and
I
I
did do
think,
just a quick search. Sorry not to interrupt you, Nicole, but I was also trying to, I was hoping I could answer the question without bothering you. But I do think a 45-degree angle is typical, especially for the secondary stem. It looks like for the primary stem, 10 to 15 degrees is more typical.
yes. And if I am remembering correctly too, I think in our video demonstration, she talks a little bit about that,
Mm,
the angles at which to place them.
awesome. One more follow-up question about the dried flowers or how long flowers last. Do they ever replace flowers to refresh dead ones in an arrangement?
Oh, I don't know. That's a great question. I would assume, yeah, as they will, you could probably just replace them as long as you're careful not to, you know, disturb the other flowers, but I don't see why not. I think just as long as you are keeping within um, I guess the so-called requirements of whatever arrangement you were trying to do. So if you're trying to do a shoka, if you have your three pieces, if you're replacing a wilted lily with a new lily, I don't know the correct answer. I would just assume that it's probably okay. I don't think you need to do like a whole new arrangement each time you do your Ikebana arrangement.
Mm. Okay, thank you, Nicole. That was all the questions that we had in the chat.
Okay, great. We're towards the end here, so I'm glad we got some questions answered. Before we move on to that video demonstration, I do have this resources slide. Um, these are some Ikebana books, and it's funny, I actually just saw some of these come into the library. So I know we have these, and these are great resources for you to use if you are interested in pursuing this on your own at home. And with that, we come to our question slide. So if we have any last minute questions, or I can keep this slide up for a little while longer if we want to take some pictures. I'll keep this up for a few seconds. But after this, we will move on to our video demonstration.
Yes, we have a question about if all the books listed on the screen are available at the library, and I believe the answer to that is yes, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, I don't want to speak to 100%. I can't imagine we would put books on our PowerPoint that we didn't offer. And the second one, the Ikebana, the Zen Way of Flowers, I saw that one coming through our sorter. So I know we have that one. Um, but I would imagine that we do have all of them. But if we want confirmation, I can
I'm
Maybe do a
looking right now.
quick
I'm actually
search.
gonna I'm gonna paste the search results into the chat for everyone if you are interested in placing a hold. I'm putting a link into the chat that's going to send you directly to each of these books. So
Awesome. Thank you,
give me just
Nikki.
one moment for that. And then I'm not seeing any other questions. We might want to give it just one more moment though. Okay, yeah, I don't see any more questions coming in, so we might be okay to move on to that demonstration.
All right. Thank you, Nikki. And if we're ready, I will hit the next slide and it should start our demonstration.
And Nicole, if it's supposed to be sharing any audio, it's actually not sharing.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Typically under at the bottom of the screen where it says share, if you click the little caret, there should be share settings. And there
Okay.
should be an option there. Um, I'm not sure if it's gonna be on PowerPoint or actually in Zoom, like at the bottom of Zoom.
Bottom. Okay. Sorry, give me one moment, everybody. What am I looking for, Nikki?
So the share button at the bottom, there's a little caret. If you'll click on that and then go to share settings, I
Okay.
believe it's going to be under that menu. Since I'm not sharing, I don't think it's giving me the actual option. And then if it's not, actually, it might be under advanced. If you'll scroll to the bottom, it says advanced.
Okay.
Does it give you options under there?
It does. I'm not seeing anything about audio.
Okay, the other thing I'm going to have you try is under, I think it might be under this. Okay, the audio button on the left-hand bottom side, press the caret there, and then there's an audio settings.
Okay.
I believe it might be under there.
Hmm.
You're not finding it there either.
Oh.
Okay, one second here. I know I've had issues with this in a past program before too. One moment, everyone. Nicole, I think what I'm going to have you try real quick is if you stop sharing and then when you share again, the little pop-up window, make sure at the bottom left that the share sound option is clicked. Unless that has changed, I think that's still an option.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Share sound.
Yes, there we go.
Right, try this again.
Perfect. Now we can hear.
Welcome to the
Thank you.
demonstration portion of today's program. Here are the supplies needed: a bowl of water, the vase with water and the kenzen, the hanakiri or flower cutters, and fresh flowers of your choosing. In today's demonstration, we will follow a traditional structure represented by three main components: shen, soe, and hike. First is the shen, or spiritual mountain, the highest point of the Ikebana arrangement, also known as the heavens. I will be trying to find a piece that best represents the shen, and it will be placed in the back center of the kenzen. As you recall from the presentation, we will be cutting the stem underwater at a 45-degree angle and leave the stem in the water for a few seconds to keep the freshness of the flower. We will do this for every piece. The next stem to be placed is the soe, which is the second tallest stem. It is also the stem that represents man. This stem will be placed to the arranger's left side and slightly bent to 45 degrees. Extra leaves and branches can be taken off the stem to achieve balance and harmony. Finally, we have the hikai, the shortest piece that represents earth and brings balance to the whole arrangement. I will have this beautiful lily that I will be using as the hikai. With the structure in place, we begin adding flowers and foliage. In Ikebana, we use flowers sparingly, choosing them for their unique shapes and colors. Ikebana stands as a reflection of nature's beauty, capturing the essence of heaven, humanity, and earth in perfect harmony. As with all art forms, there is no right or wrong in Ikebana. Now, your Ikebana arrangement is complete. The arrangement you have created is a unique expression of your vision and your connection to the world around you.
Okay, thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions, please reach out to the library, or you can reach out to me at nicoleborder@plano.gov. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.